I raised over $100 million and built my company Vivino to over 80 million users. But now I'm starting all over again with Voda, the new app which is going to be the Michelin guide for the people. And today I'm sharing the brutal realities and learnings that I'm applying to my new startup to hopefully save me and you listening a lot of time and pain. And the first one is, point number one, you'll likely fail. Let me start with the truth here. 90% of all startups fail. That's not motivational bullshit, that's just reality. And if you're not all in, you'll definitely be among the 90%. Most founders talk about these failure rates, but actually proceed as if they were guaranteed to succeed. They'll keep their day job just in case, spend money they don't have, and make plans as if success is inevitable. Here's what they don't understand. If you're hedging your bets, you've already lost. The market can smell half-assed commitment a mile away. With Voda, failure is still a real thing. We're just a few months after launching. We're growing steadily, but there's a really big chance we'll still fail. The difference is I plan accordingly. I keep my expenses low, I don't hire too fast, and I have backup plans. But I'm also all in. No safety net, no plan B that I'm secretly hoping for. The smartest founders I know will plan for failure while working for success, but they commit everything to avoid failure. If you're not willing to bet everything on yourself, why should anyone else? Point 1.5, you need to know what a startup really is. Before we move into the second piece of advice, you need to understand what a startup actually is. Just building a business does not mean you're building a startup. Take a consulting business, for example, that's low risk from day one. You can predict your income and growth fairly accurately. True startups have a high upfront investment with a long-term payoff. High risk, high reward. You're betting years of your life on an uncertain outcome. You need to make sure you understand what game you're playing because the rules are completely different. Point number two, there are no shortcuts. If you can build something in 24 hours with AI, it's not a startup. Anyone and everyone can copy that. In fact, if you can build in 24 hours and it's actually worth something, and probably a ChatGPT feature very, very soon. Real startups require things that you can't replicate easily. Deep domain expertise, network effects, massive databases, regulatory moats, or years of user behavior data. For example, building the Vivino wine database literally took years. We needed millions of wine photos, ratings from real users, and relationships with wineries worldwide. That can't be copied overnight, that's real moat. With Voda, we're not there yet, but we're building towards it. Our defensibility will come from understanding user taste preferences better than anyone else. The more users rate restaurants, the better our recommendations will become. That's not something you can hack together over a weekend. If this is a how to get rich quick idea, don't do it. Point number three, products determine success, not investment rounds. We celebrate investment rounds, and we should. Sure, it's absolutely incredible that Lovable, an AI app builder development platform founded just 2 years ago, managed to raise $200 million at a $2 billion valuation. That's insane. But the investment round is not Lovable's great accomplishment. The great accomplishment is that Lovable managed to build a magical product that users love and are willing to pay for. Focus on building product that users love, and I guarantee you that the investor money will flow. When someone says, we failed because we couldn't raise more money, sorry, that's BS. You couldn't build a product that users loved, that's why you failed. Focus on building an insane product and you will raise money. It's the same with Voda right now. I can raise money right now and could celebrate that success. But that's not what's going to determine our long-term success. That's about building the most amazing product that users love, not whether an investor believes in us or not. Point number four, focus on building one thing at a time or die trying to do everything. Most founders are somewhat delusional about their capabilities. They or we sometimes think we can fix 10 things at the same time because we're, different or smarter. Sorry, that's BS. We have limited resources, period. Trying to fix everything at the same time is the fastest way of fixing nothing and killing your startup. I see founders every week that are working on acquisition, retention, monetization, product features, and partnerships all at the same time. Then they wonder, why is nothing moving the needle? It's because they're spreading themselves too thin and nothing really gets the attention that it actually needs. At Vivino, we launched our marketplace and spent massive resources on adding new partners, adding new supply to the marketplace, and adding big buy now green buttons everywhere. We thought more wines, a lot of buttons, that would equal sales. We were wrong. We were fixing the wrong part of the funnel. Users weren't buying because they didn't have a reason to buy on Vivino, not because of lack of inventory. We wasted months on adding inventory, but that wasn't the real problem. With Voda right now, our funnel breaks at retention, so we spend all our resources on fixing that. That's where 100% of our resources go. Not 70%, not 80%, 100%. Everything else can wait. This is what I call funnel focus. Find out where the funnel breaks and deploy all resources to fix that. If you want more about the funnel focus framework, I did a video on that, so please check it out so you won't make the same mistakes we did. Point number 5, speed beats perfection. You need to be embarrassed by your first version. If you're not embarrassed by your first MVP, you waited too long. But speed doesn't mean sloppy. It means ruthlessly cutting everything else that doesn't prove your core thesis. You only start learning when you put your product in the hands of real users. Anything before that is just theory. It's not real. Get the product out instantly, and then you start understanding what you're actually building. Vivino's first version was so simple that Apple rejected it from the App Store. It just took pictures of wine labels with no real feedback or database. We had to convince Apple there was more happening in the background. But that simplicity forced us to prove the core concept. Do people actually want to scan wine labels? Everything else came after. Fun fact, same thing happened with Voda. Apple said this product's too simple, it has no features. We had to convince them there were things happening in the background. Our first version of Voda focused on one thing. Can we get users to rate restaurants, and do those ratings make sense? No social features, no fancy UI, just the core. We're adding more features only after we know that the core features work.
Ship fast, learn faster, and iterate constantly.
Starting over is terrifying. Every day I ask myself, do I still have it? Maybe I was just lucky with Vivino. Also asking myself if I'm crazy going back into the most competitive space, restaurant ratings. But here's what I know. The best way to find out if we can still build is by building. The market will tell you everything you need to know, usually brutally and quickly. These 5 realities are not fun to hear, but they're the difference between founders who make it and the founders who flame out. Now stop watching and go build something. But remember, you'll probably fail, but that's the name of the game.